using the same kind of talk that I use when we're about to start Hindenburgs.
Okay, I can see the
Hello,
yellow live.
anyone who's watching this after the fact.
Yes, hello.
Right. The big live button is on. Hang on, it's time for a quick yawn. It's something to do with pressing that button, and you started it a minute ago. I do love the fact you've got an "I'm with stupid" sign right behind you.
Yes.
Big arrow. Right. We're ready with Hindenburg.
Mm-hmm.
Ready in 3, 2, 1, go.
And yep, lines.
So do I. Let me just double check, actually. Yeah, I know it's swapped over. That's okay. I just thought of something I was going to ask you, and I've forgotten what it was now. Have you checked the number, by the way? Because I haven't.
249 is correct.
Okay.
So 250 will be something else. Will be 251 when we go live again.
Okay, cool. Welcome to the Motoring Podcast, your weekly discussion of motoring news. This is episode 249 on Tuesday, the 16th of April, 2019. Hello, I'm Alan.
Hello, I'm Andrew. And on this week's show, we'll be talking about how we continue to look back before we can really move forward when it comes to emissions. Also, we discuss a detection scheme that isn't really going to detect that well. And we congratulate the idiots of the UK who have led to a more average speed cameras being installed. But first, we have some follow-up. And as I've just hinted, it's Dieselgate.
Hooray.
And this time, this is quite a bbig one, actually, if you happen to be somebody from Volkswagen, an executive, and you're in Germany. Because Martin Winterkorn, even if I could speak properly, again, anyone would think we did a podcast, who, if you will all remember very well, is the ex-CEO of the VW Group, along with 4 other executives, has been charged with fraud by German prosecutors in the city of Braunschweig.
I assume so.
This is the first time I've had to say that one, unfortunately. So, although I'm getting more confident with my German pronunciation.
Yeah, no, I don't really know anything, but I couldn't have made a better job. Anyway,
but what they are saying is that they violated competition laws by not disclosing the fact that there was manipulation software in the diesel engines, and they failed to stop more of the software being installed in engines that were going to be sold on once they knew or declared they knew of it. So
that's not great. Did you include in that the claim that he approved a software update, which cost 23 million euros, and it was declared as useless? I'm quoting James Atwood from Autocar here. Useless, but served to, inverted commas, continue obscuring, close inverted commas, the use of the defeat device system.
Wow, that's horrific. Considering it's supposed to be this lone engineer, if we remember back to the origins of this. So we've gone from, in the space of 3.5 years, lone engineer to the CEO of the group approving the thing that will hide it even further. Allegedly.
Right. So prosecutors from Braunschweig are continuing to investigate 36 more defendants, according to this story, yet to discuss how to charge them. But the indictment so far, supposedly, and I'm quoting this Autocar article, supposedly covers 692 pages with an additional 300 file volumes featuring 75,000 more pages to explain the charges. So it's obviously really, really simple.
And would explain we're 3.5 years down the line, and we're getting to this point because we raised that question a couple of weeks ago.
It was last week.
When particularly when it was talking about investigating the phone calls that were recordings they'd only just found. Or were only just declaring. Well, I think it goes to show that the level of information that the prosecutors have had to wade through has just been immense.
Yeah.
So
we kind of knew that
it's
was
not surprising.
Well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, from our old friend follow-up to our newer long-term person staying on the couch, even though we invited them to pop and see us once.
Yes. Carlos Ghosn has had his detention. I was trying to think of some other witty way of putting that, but I can't think of one right now. His detention period extended by another 8 days until April the 22nd, giving the prosecution that time to bring formal charges against Ghosn or let him go again. I mean, remember, he's already spent 108 days in jail so far. His lawyers,
and that was at the same hearing where they had his lawyers had applied for the second time for him to be released on bail, wasn't it?
Yes, absolutely. And this was to do with him being rearrested. Was that just rearrested last week? Hang on. April the 4th. Yes, so we covered that the week before about him being rearrested.
Yep. And another reason that the lawyers for Ghosn brought the appeal in again was, first of all, because they declared this an illegal arrest. But he really has got an aggressive team now.
Yeah.
But the other thing is as well is they wanted it to be formally acknowledged what the charges were going to be, because it seems you can arrest someone without declaring really why they've been arrested.
It works in a different
legal
order.
system. Yeah. So we're going to have to watch that one, whether he is formally charged or whether he's let out on the 22nd. But
so how
they're
long
not being given time and time again this time. So.
No, it's been very clear on it. So 22nd is starting next week?
Yep.
Right.
New news, although it's not new.
Well, it's not really.
Feel like it's
a run-on from Dieselgate, isn't it? So this is going to be super quick.
Yep. There's the KBA, which is the Motor Vehicle Authority in Germany, is investigating Mercedes-Benz over 60,000 GLK SUVs, which I don't think we ever got over here.
No, we didn't. We didn't get.
Which is a shame because that was one of their better-looking ones.
It's one of the cool square. It was the cool square one, which they only ever made in left-hand drive.
Yeah, that's a shame. But this is to do with, in inverted commas, in this European Auto News article.
Automotive News Europe,
software.
even. We'll get there.
Yes, yes. I am struggling tonight. I do apologise, everybody. But this is to do with the 220 CDI cars that were built between 2012 and 2015, that they would only ever meet emission limits when certain functions were activated, it is alleged. Mm-hmm. So they're investigating this. But we need to remember this is on the back of, even though Mercedes hasn't been properly dragged into the Dieselgate thing, they've still had to recall 3 million vehicles to update software over nitrogen oxide emissions. So they've kind of got away with it.
Well, and of course, there's the collusion charges between them and BMW and Volkswagen as well on emissions technologies, but which they're expected to get away with more lightly on for blowing the whistle on the whole thing, should it exist.
Yeah, it's just not a good look from the German.
The German auto industry is not having an easy time of it right at the minute.
And if they are doing all these things, quite rightly.
I agree.
Anyway, talking about Dieselgate and some of the ramifications, WLTP and real figures for MPGs.
Well, that's it. It's we keep talking about what's happening and everybody's being prosecuted and all the awfulness and legal wranglings and this kind of stuff. But one of the outcomes of this for us as a consumer has been a different set, a different, more realistic set of testing, at least for the time being. And that's caused some confusion in the way that it has been, taxation rates have been changed in advance of these, and just UK government being UK government at the minute, really. But so where am I going with this? Oh, yes. What car? It's a story in front of me on the screen, Alan. Come on. But what car have been doing some investigation? They do a true MPG test. And the outcome of this year's round of testing, based on a 15-car sample or so that they've done so far, is that actually the official fuel economy figures are closer to reality than ever before. Mm-hmm. So they're saying that on average, the fuel economy that the vehicles get is 4.9% worse than claimed, which, isn't really that bad, given the huge disparities that have been in the past between some of the downsized engines in smaller cars. And
but what we do have to take into account, though, with this, what we do have to take into account here is there are some cars, because this is an average, so we have to remember that some cars are doing better than their official test figures, and obviously that will conversely mean that some are doing significantly worse, and it balances out that it's 4.9%. But I agree, the step is in the right direction.
Agreed.
One of the things that makes me laugh about this article that's linked in the show notes is that it appears the What Car True MPG is sponsored by the Nissan Leaf, and the picture at the top of the screen is for a Polestar.
I know. So, I don't know quite what's happening with the Haymarket picture editors at the minute, because they're a bit rubbish. I mean, the worst. So they did this across 15 cars, which is not the widest sampling ever, but it's pretty reasonable. But the worst behaving compared to official economy and true MPG was actually the Volvo V60 D4. And it was 21.4% below what it should have been. It was still 38.3% MPG.
That actually reminds me. I saw something go through on Twitter saying about how Volvo's emissions and MPGs are not brilliant, actually. And it was in the real world circumstances. But I can't remember who had tweeted that out and what the article was about, but it just gave me a right trigger on that, because I was surprised to hear that.
I see that 5th worst or 11th best from this. That's the C4 Cactus PureTech 110. Sorry, I thought it was the C2. I was going to comment on, which is 11% down. 320D's 13.1% down, but it's an auto. So yeah, there's a couple there which don't do so well. At the other end of the scale,
charge you.
Yeah.
Go for number one.
At the other end of the scale, they ranked the absolute best, which was 10.3% above the official MPG. Was the latest 2-liter Mazda MX-5, which I mean, whenever I owned one, I kept on saying that it ran on magic beans. He's waving his remnants of his pint up towards the webcam. But even I said at the time that it ran on magic beans.
You did, yes.
Yes. But even up there in the best, there are 3 out of the top 5 are Volkswagen Group cars. Skoda Karoq, Superb Estate,
2 petrols and a diesel.
Yeah, 2 petrols,
and a diesel. So that's interesting to see.
Yeah. So it's
and the Nissan Qashqai, actually, because the 1.3 petrol engine was brought in, 3-cylinder petrol engine was brought in specifically to help with their figures, wasn't it? And it looks like it has done that job.
Well, its official fuel economy is 39.8 miles per gallon, and the true MPG figure that What Car have got is 41.3, so that's 3.8% better.
No, but I think this is an excellent thing that What Car do. You know that we do compliment What Car occasionally on things like, I've said before. Quite often. I've said before that. Dinner. Well, yes, they did buy me dinner, but even before that, though, their used cars of the year is one of the most important car of the year awards out there, because that's the one that most people will look at and use.
Well, this is what things for the do, isn't it?
Yes, this is for definitely for the consumer, and it is targeted for people who are looking to buy and have a particular needs, and they want a source to find this information. So, well done, What Car. You've hit the nail on the head with this one, and I really like this true MPG that they do.
It's all right. They'll buy you dinner again next year if you keep on like this.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Right.
Okay, moving on now. This time,
are we going to move off emissions and fuel economy?
yes, but we'll go to one of my triggers: cybersecurity and
There's a whole
cars.
bunch of them tonight.
Connected cars. Yes, there are a few actually. I've calmed down since I put them in the running order. But
Yeah.
this is that there is a government-backed consortium have been brought together, government-funded actually, consortium of these are cybersecurity and automotive industry experts. Roki Horiba, or Horiba, Mira, Ricardo, Thatcham Research, and Axilium Research.
Horiba Mira is the company that owns the Motor Industry Research Association.
Okay, cool. Well, they've all been brought together, or they've come together to try and help create a framework of which the automotive industry in this country will use to show how secure and safe their vehicles are when it comes to cybersecurity and general security. So at this stage, there is a white paper out there that you can download if you click through the links on this Roki or Roke. I don't know how you pronounce the name, so I'll go with Roki. With this Roki website that you can click through and you can fill in some details to download the white paper and have a look through and comment on. I am presuming they're going to do it along, and I think they hint about this, they're going to do it along the lines of the Euro NCAP stars. So you do these things, your car will get these stars when it comes to cybersecurity.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the key for me here is making people understand, because people don't do that in normal life, why cybersecurity is important, what it actually means to them individually, because a lot of people don't. Even though we know not to click on links and things like that, people still do that in emails. So it's understanding the different levels and what it means, particularly as cars are more connected. And there's talking about autonomous vehicles in here, but let's just ignore that.
Just to move on. Come on, there's only so many triggers we can have in the
but there are advanced driver assistance systems, which obviously are something that we do think are good and useful if they are correctly written and implemented properly. So I think this will help as long as the general public can be educated in this, and it's not just a case of we're throwing out yet more stars and numbers and things, and people just go, "Oh, I don't care."
I think that the rating. So I think what you're trying to say is that whatever the final rating system is, it does need to be clearly managed and explained.
Yes.
So is this a 3-padlock car or a 5-padlock car?
Something like that. Because if you look at how white goods have had that rating installed, and there's been lots of kickback on that, even though it looks sensible, a lot of kickback saying, "Oh, it just confuses people," and all the rest of it. There is always going to be a certain amount of people who don't know what it means. So it cannot be easily explained and educated.
Oh, come on,
that's the key.
The white goods one, it's got colours and it goes from A is good.
No, I know that, and I know what it means, but there's
bleeding rocket science.
No, I understand that. Yeah, absolutely. It shouldn't be. But I've seen lots of articles about people saying, "Oh, it's far too complicated. It's blah, blah, blah." But it just means that people need to take some time and read things. But so that needs to be appreciated when whatever the system is implemented.
Yes. But people have to remember that there is only a certain amount of stupid that you can accommodate.
Yeah, people have a personal responsibility, which sometimes society forgets.
Yes. So I think this is good because vehicles are becoming more and more like just mobile networks. And integration's awesome. And those of us who love technology and love using stuff and having it all work together, it's fab. But we do have to also make sure that you're all working together is adequately protected as well. It's like the old days where everybody would have computers without virus protection and not take backups and not have firewalls installed.
Yep.
It scares me now to think that we used to just like plug into the internet through a dial-up connection with nothing between you and the internet. It's crazy, huh? You wouldn't even consider doing it today.
Yeah, it's crazy now, but then we were naive, young, fresh-faced, and
people with
gone across horrible people as much.
Yeah, and firewalls seem scary, and that's essentially what you're doing with this is just putting in firewalls into a vehicle.
Hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Anybody needs help modeling and making pictures? Yeah, I did a little bit of work on this a little while ago. Yeah. There is a standard model for it, by the way. Not that anybody cares, but there is a standard model for vehicle system integration in SysML. There you go. There's Nerd Corner for tonight.
Some of our listeners will be very happy about that.
Some of our listeners will get that about 4, probably. Right? Should we talk about
technology to us about detection?
Do you want to know
about detection that isn't detection?
So we've just talked about we've just talked about IT security and the importance of this and smart use of technologies for all the right reasons. Here's something really stupid, everyone. Some police forces are going to put up signs that will show a picture of a square thing that is definitely not an iPhone with inside a red circle with a red line across it, red strike through, to tell people to stop using technology as they drive past. The idea of this is admirable, I guess. It's to stop drivers using their telephone as they're going along. So, look, we know you're using your telephone and flashing at them, which would be brilliant if it by some means of magic could tell that it was the driver that was doing it. What's actually going to happen is that as vehicles go past with any kind of 3G, 4G, 2G. Linked 2G as well, linked sort of radiation signal pulse going, the signs will flash. So it doesn't matter if the driver is using the phone, which is bad. If it's a passenger using a phone, which doesn't make any difference whatsoever. If it's the vehicle itself's telematics sending out a signal, any of these, the ruddy thing will flash all the time. Well, it might not be telematics. It could well be that
it'll be other tracking.
Like you're streaming.
Your associated partners.
Oh, shut up and put your tinfoil hat on. if it's you've got your phone plugged into is streaming music through your stereo in a completely safe and legal way, all controlled by the stereo, should you need to do that, but hopefully you won't, then it will flash. These things cost about £6,000 each. They're going to be trialled and deployed by certain police forces. They're saying Thames Valley and Hampshire, who are going to be some of the first to do it, have said it will not be used to enforce phone driving laws, which is just as well, because any lawyer who's worth giving any money would just absolutely ransack this. But it should be used to educate motorists. Anyway,
but I have a problem with that. Okay, I
don't understand what it's educating. I'm sorry, just the whole thing's stupid.
I think they realise that it's not going to actually spot if it's more there to try and shame people. That's what they're trying to do. But the problem is, because it's going to go off
all the time
by the car, a passenger, or the driver, depending on what use of the phone, then people will become blind to it, and it won't shame anyone. No one will know. It'll be like car alarms going off in a street now. People don't pay any attention to them.
It's just more annoying street furniture, to be perfect.
Yeah, it's just
more distraction for the driver.
Yes, absolutely.
Why did you crash? I was trying to work out what that flashy light was.
Yeah. Was it something I'd done was bad? Something I'd done was good? Because if they tell you you're under the speed limit, that's a good thing. What was it telling me?
Yeah.
Will they come up and go, oh, if there isn't a circle, hey, you've not used your phone. Well done.
Well done. You get a bonus nice person point.
So it's misguided on pretty much every level.
Yes. It is.
Right. Talking of detection.
Last one before guilt minute, everyone. Just warning you, just so you know.
Talking of detection, there will be, or there has been installed, average speed cameras on a portion of the A543 in Denbighshire, leading from, I believe, Denby through down to the A5 section of the Evo Triangle, because the Welsh government has given £500,000 of investment to improve safety in this area of Denbighshire and Conwy County Borough Councils, because speeding around on the Evo Triangle is such a horrific thing that happens. Now, first of all, well done everybody who's been a total Burke and driven like an absolute moron on there where they feel they need to be paying attention to this. That is irrespective of how much the North Wales Police focus on speed.
And Andrew is not.
And
Andrew is not berating you for necessarily speed related things, just being aggressive or.
Yes, you've caused incidents which has made people investigate this, which they've then said, "Oh, speed's the problem, so we'll cut speed."
Always say speed's the problem.
Speed is not the problem here; it is idiocy is the problem. Mm-hmm. There has been apparently 4 deaths between 2012 and 2017 or 2018 on around the area of the Evo Triangle. Now, I don't know, and it only occurred to me late on tonight, whether these deaths were actually speed related or because of someone speeding, or whether it just happened to be other issues, because the way some of the stuff has been worded in press releases and in articles, it could possibly be that statistics have been chosen to enhance certain arguments.
It's a bit weaselly, is what you're trying to say, isn't it?
Yes, but that doesn't matter because they're installed now. And it is national speed limit along there. If they haven't actually brought it down to 50 mile an hour, which I know they were talking about, which, well, there's a couple of things from this. The first thing is this will just move people out to drive. If silly people are driving silly, they'll continue to drive silly. And they'll just get pushed further and further out onto roads that are even less suitable for it around there. And there are many roads that are less suitable to drive fast. Mm-hmm. Also, the other thing is you don't need to speed along those roads to have a good time. Doing the speed limit and less than is utterly brilliant on those roads, which is why they have been chosen as a certain set of roads to get a full feeling of how a car responds. Yeah. And it wasn't because people were doing 100 miles an hour along those roads, it's because they were doing no more than 60 on those roads and they felt epic. Mm-hmm. So this is not Evo's fault, because I know a lot of the politicians just go, "Oh, it's Evo's fault." And it's not. It's people being downright stupid. And they're the sort of people that have meant that politicians think, let's stick in limiters.
Well, it's an easy solution to a difficult question, because you only ever choose one dimension to deal with if you're political right at the minute.
Yeah. So, well done everyone for ruining that.
I've never driven the Evo Triangle.
I'll take you on roads near there that are better.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's as one of the comments in that motoring research article. It'll be linked in the show notes. It says it's just as well there are no other roads in Wales, really, isn't it? Right. That brings us rather neatly to Guilt Minute, that point in the show when we remind you to think about and consider what the motoring podcast is worth for you. If it's worth a small amount of your hard-earned cash, then please head to motoringpodcast.com and click on the orange Become a Patron button right there on the front page. And of course, if you're already a patron, if you've already done that, then thank you so very, very much. We understand not everyone has the ability to do this, so please don't forget to like, rate, and leave feedback via the podcast player of your choice. If you've done all of that, well, then you totally are a hero. How's about accosting a friend who you think would enjoy this, or even if you think they wouldn't enjoy this, and subscribing them or telling them all about us and what we do. Also, don't forget that you can subscribe yourself if you use a podcast player. And if you need help choosing a podcast player and subscribing, then do let us know. Then if you do that, sorry, I didn't know if the wording in this has changed. If you do that, then we can show you how to. Yes, it's this big words "for free" have appeared in the middle of it, which I wasn't expecting as a talking point. Yeah, we will help you do that, and you will get every single show ping straight to your device.
Yeah, there's been research.
Devices might not actually go ping.
Yes, there's been research that's recently come out in the last week about podcasting and why some people feel that asking people to subscribe is perhaps incorrect, because the feeling is that if you say subscribe, then money is involved in that. So it is to emphasize that to subscribe on a podcatcher,
which are free. There are good ones for free.
To listen to us, you can get us for free via a podcatcher of choice.
Are you going to go through this and put the words "for free" in about every second sentence?
No,
I'm not going to let you.
Need to remember to say it next week.
Yes, I will do. I just won't get caught out by it halfway through the text that I didn't realize had changed. Don't forget, we've got stickers as well. By the way, you can buy stickers from us.
Yes,
go to motoringpodcast.com/sweetmerch. Yes, I have to post some off actually, which I apologize profusely. It's taken me a little while.
Formula E, as
I said last week, in fact, as I stumbled through and didn't say last week, it should have been Benvenuti Roma in a hopefully more Italian accent than that. Because, yes, Formula E were in Rome last weekend. I confess I didn't get a chance to see the race because I was busy doing stuff. You didn't get a chance to see the race because you were busy doing stuff as well. Yes. But it was the 7th team and 7th driver to win or something.
Yes, absolutely.
It was something at the end.
The first win of the season for Panasonic Jaguar Racing.
Yes, and
more importantly, the first win in Formula E for Mitch Evans. So
yes,
congratulations to both the driver and team.
Exactly.
Because apparently, according to the E-Racing 365 article, which will be linked in the show notes as ever, as will highlights that I have not had a chance to watch, as will, as ever, the post-racing notebook, which is excellent because there's actually a ton of information in it this time because there's lots of future stuff going on in the background. So do read that if you're interested in Formula E. But apparently, Mitch Evans pulled a late-breaking move on Andre Lotterer, who was leading from pole with only a quarter of the race left to go, or a third of the race, left to go, and then managed to keep in front all that way, including failing to hit his attack mode the second time he tried to activate it when Lotterer was within his attack mode. So it made it really tight and interesting. But yet again, there was a red flag. And I'm not surprised looking at one of the corners that kept being pictured up against some of the ancient architecture. That looked like it was hard enough to fit one car through, let alone more than that. I mean, that did look a bit silly.
I reckon we're going to see some changes for next year's circuits.
Slightly bigger corners and wider tracks.
Bigger and wider. Now, the trouble is that the cars can't go any faster. Okay? The challenge is the cars can't go any faster because if the cars went any faster at all, they would need full on-site hospital and medical and constantly running helicopters and all these things that happen for Formula One. And Formula E just can't go there. If the cars go any faster, there is a significant step change in the complexity involved in actually running the sodding thing. So
the cost,
it just goes whee through the roof. But
are they also constrained as well because they like to use roads?
That has a certain amount.
There is a width issue there, so they have to be. I mean, I think that's why.
To an extent, it depends which roads you choose.
Dockland for London is going to be possibly a good choice because that won't have as much public road that they're using.
No, exactly. But some of it is service road as well, which isn't very wide at all. We'll see.
Oh, just to round this up. Sorry, by the way,
I've actually got one more thing to talk about if we're going to round it up. So you keep saying your roundup, and then I'll say my roundup.
Well, Van Dorn started in third and finished in third, so he came home for the HWA Race Lab squad. So well
Fantastic.
done to Van Dorn. So it's every race this season has had different people on the podium, which has been brilliant. I just wish they could ditch the red flags. That's becoming quite...
It's becoming quite annoying for people. The thing I was going to mention was that Porsche released a video this morning about their Formula E entry in a tweet from Porsche UK PR, and I now cannot find the video that they used, so that you can link it in the show notes.
Was it Brendan Hartley doing a test?
No, it wasn't. It was all more like an advert.
Oh, okay.
It involved high bars and gymnasts and not knowing if you can go somewhere if you haven't tried and all these kind of things.
Because Mark Webber was in Rome and he was talking a lot about Formula E and how it looks cool and the cars look much better now and the racing looks much more interesting and fun. So
it is. I mean,
Porsche are really ramping up their announcement to being in the series, I think.
They really are. I mean, it's of course, Formula E still has its detractors. Some people don't like the fact that there is the social media fan boosty type thing, and the red flags are not helping. No. And the fact it can be a wee bit bumper car-y as well.
Yes. Yeah, there does seem to be perhaps an inconsistency in penalties being...
It always has been. It's been a bit, as far as I'm concerned, it's been one of the biggest issues with Formula E right from the start, was the fact that people would win a race and then an hour later they hadn't won a race. And it
well, to be fair, Mitch Evans's car is still under investigation now. They've had to send a bit of it off.
Yeah, one of the front wishbones had to be sent off to the FIA to compare it with the specimen one that was used in load and wind tunnel testing.
So that may all change. I hope something like that doesn't take it away from him.
No, because that's really annoying. I mean, that's as bad as Lucas de Grassi's underwear.
Yes. Right, lunchtime read.
This one's one for you. Ugh.
To be fair, you did pick this out last week when you saw that it was tweeted by Ed Niedermeyer, who we have mentioned many times.
You need Ed. Sorry, I'm going to say this out loud on the show because then it commits you to it. You need to ask Ed on review.
We are discussing it in the background.
Good. I'm sure you are, because I know that he's offered in the past. So
yes, no, I can't wait to get him on and chat because I think he writes in such a balanced way as well. He is very upfront about his prejudices.
Yeah.
Well, but yeah, no, I have seen the tweets and everything, particularly if the Elonites get involved. But this article itself is a perfect example of that, because he does declare his own bias and his own ways that he perhaps is not looking at it as fairly as it needs to be, because he's calling out the author. Well, he's calling out a paper from MIT on their autonomous vehicle technology, which only seems to include Tesla. So I don't quite know how that one works. And it's written by Lex Friedman, who is very happy to block people if they ask him a question about things in a very adult manner.
He's not in,
and without people having a go or calling him anything, he just blocks for Britain or America. Really, he's very happy to do that, and that includes fellow academics as well as journalists. So I don't quite understand that. But in this article, it's a bit of a lengthy article, but it's excellent read. Ed Niedermeyer discusses the elements of the MIT paper that we should consider before we declare it one thing or another. And before we agree or start trumpeting the conclusions that were that were drawn on the back of the information they gained and how they gained it. So please do go read that, because this is the sort of reporting we need, particularly when it comes to autonomous vehicles. Otherwise, we are going to have horrific accidents on the road.
So last week I had a vehicle with adaptive cruise control and very competent lane keeping assist. And as I was sitting with the adaptive cruise set at 50 in the 50 zone on the M1 down past towards Milton Keynes, between Northampton and Milton Keynes and Luton and that kind of way, then I was sitting there, both hands on the wheel, and I thought, this is making this so easy and relaxing and keep it. And, I'm actually having to occasionally wiggle the wheel to stop it telling me that I'm not holding on to the wheel that I'm holding on to, but lightly, because it's making a nice job of this. And I thought, I can understand why people get really cocky about this.
Yeah.
And I think that's because there's one of the paragraphs here which is pointing out that when there are accidents, it is generally... So there's a quotation in the middle. And I think it's Elon Musk's submission, but it's when there is a serious accident, it is almost always, in fact, maybe always the case that it's an experienced user. And the issue is one of complacency, like we get too used to it, that tends to be more of the issue. Sorry, he's obviously speaking and working it as he goes along because he starts to sound like me. But, well, not quite.
No, Alan. No, you never sound that bad.
Well, I do. I've just done it. But, and I could feel that you could get very, very used to this. So I start to see where the psychological point of view of the owner comes from. When you're sitting there, the system is very smooth and very competent and slowing you down and speeding you up. And after a while, you can start to think, well, I might as well just check Twitter or whatever.
There are studies that have been undertaken and are continuing to be undertaken about how quickly we come to trust the technology. It's worked once, it's worked twice. Oh, it'll always work.
Yeah,
that sort of attitude, and we quickly get into that habit. And it's because I know a lot of companies are looking at this from test driving point of view, because they need the test drivers to be on the ball the entire time.
I think we saw this with the Uber incident.
Yeah, exactly.
I think this is a prime example of that. The lady was watching something on her phone.
Yeah, there are questions about how well she was trained as well and things like that.
Yes, but it's still...
But yes, she's driven a few times and gone, this would be fine, so it's okay for me to look at whatever I'm looking at, or whatever she was at the time. And this is the danger, and these are the dangers with things like level 3 that's being proposed. I mean, because we're only talking level 2 here, which is essentially glorified cruise control.
It's basically what I was driving.
Yeah, it is enhanced adaptive cruise control, and it generally keeps you in the lanes.
Yeah.
On specific roads as well, not all roads, just very specific, well lit, well marked main motorway dual carriageways. But level 3 is, you can go and do something else while the car's driving, and then it'll turn around and go. Oh, just take over, will you, please?
I'm going to stop you here because you could keep on going for quite some time. What we're going to do is recommend that if people have some time at lunchtime, we have absolutely not discussed the whole article. In fact, we've gone terribly off on a tangent. Do read it if you're interested in this kind of thing. It is very interesting, and it is nicely balanced because Ed's very good at pointing out what his prejudices are and understanding what his prejudices are.
It's a benchmark for the sort of reporting we need on this, on the new technology that's coming in, for me.
Yes.
Anyway,
shall we move on to the list of the week, please?
List of the week, yes, because this is a bit more frivolous.
Yeah, it is a bit. I don't know what you guys are like, but I am really quite bad for playing not so much fuel-like roulette, but range roulette with my cars. I am preparing for our electric future, and therefore I am not scared of the bottom half of the fuel gauge. I don't know what you guys are like about that. I know that there's some people who just can't let it go below a third full, if even half full. That is not me. So, our mate, Motoring Research, Gambraith Waitsmith, has compiled a list of the best and worst vehicles to drive with the fuel light on. Now, can I quickly declare a slight interest in this, because I have never really tested it with my car. It will get down to a range. I think my car at the minute is showing, the range counter is showing 23 miles, and the red light is not on yet. The fuel light normally comes on at about somewhere between 15 and 25 miles. Is that short in mine? But on the other hand, I know I have driven about 1.5 miles past it reading 0 on that same gauge. So I don't really know quite how far I can go. However, the best car, or the worst car, listed here, can do 32 miles with the range light on, with the fuel light on, and that is a BMW M3, supposedly. The Kia Picanto will get you 0.1 of a mile further, and the Fiat 500 will get you 5 miles further than that, with 37.1 miles. After that, you're into, so it's a real mix of whether it's an economy car or a rip snorter. Mini 37.5, a Shogun 38.2. Says Andrew.
I'm still fond of that car, very fond.
Jaguar XK, John Deere make things less agricultural than the Shogun. A Jaguar XK 38.4, Citroen, they don't make those anymore. Citroen C1 38.8, Peugeot 108 39.1, blah, 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 Ford Fiesta 41. At the other end of the scale are the ones that will get you the furthest.
Some impressive ones here.
There really are. So Mazda 6, 63 miles. A Range Rover Sport, 63.4 miles. That must have
I'm
the
impressed.
same tank as the entire GRMN tank. I spent the week with an EV that has a longer range than my petrol car. Okay. E-Class 64 miles, genuinely. Prius 66, 5 Series 68, blah, 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 blah. Volvo V40, 70.1. And the winner was a Volkswagen Passat with 75 miles with the fuel light on. I just couldn't do that. Supposedly in 2011, Passat 1.6 TDI Blue Motion set a Guinness World Record for the greatest distance driven on a single tank of fuel, covering 1,581.88 miles in Croatia. Not bad.
No. I am impressed with that Range Rover, though, doing that there sport.
Aye, that's on the red light. It doesn't tell you if that comes on.
It probably costs you £300 to fill up anyway.
Well, it's all right. It'll go miles and miles. They'll go ages on a tank of fuel. Range Rover.
No, that's a good list. Good listening. It's good to have Gavin back.
Mm-hmm.
But and finally,
yeah. Sorry, that was the best list of the week I could find this week. I thought it was quite fun.
Oh, it was a good one. And finally. Oh.
Although we're grappling for one of these. So if anybody has any good...
So, Alan, how would you like to save £1,800 a year?
Well,
possibly somewhere around that.
Possibly save.
Well, say I reckon they can help us.
Yeah.
By selling us £185 in-car coffee maker.
I don't have a point. So it's £185 in-car coffee maker, right? The hand presso, which comes with 2 glass coffee glasses in the Italian style.
For you and a friend.
And it's powered by 12 volt, yeah. And it will only take a mere 3 minutes to dispense 50 ml of fresh quality espresso. So the thing is that if you're comparing this to the cost of buying a second-rate Costa at a motorway service station, it is always going to be cheaper because you're making it with your own, with ground coffee. You can be a bit more expensive with this, and instead of using ground coffee, you can use capsules from a well-known Swiss company. possibly advertised by George Clooney. Yeah, which costs more, but will make significant. You know, I don't even want to think what it would be like spreading coffee grounds across the inside of my car. But I actually quite like these. I love the idea of one of these.
What?
Genuinely, I do. Yeah. If it wasn't 185 quid,
You're mad.
if it was 60 quid, I might well have one. I get so sick of rubbish coffee when you're traveling, though. You don't have this issue, but some of us just get absolutely heartily sick of rubbish coffee. Truly. You're just looking at me as if I'm a nutter. So yeah, that may well be the case, but to be honest, I wouldn't be doing this for the money saving. I would
Just
be doing
thinking of all the hashtag first world problems.
It really is first world problem. Yeah. It took some time today before I got anything approaching a decent coffee, and even then, I'm sort of still dubious. It wasn't that great.
And you were at home.
I wasn't.
I know, I'm joking.
No, home. You know what the coffee's like in this house.
You have consistency at home. I understand.
Yes, the coffee in this house dissolves the spoon, really, doesn't it? I think that's pretty fair to say.
I think that's about it now.
That's about it. Parish notes. We didn't get a special edition out last week because I left the file on the wrong computer. So it's not my fault. So it'll be out this Friday.
Yes.
Am I committing you to something?
Yes. No, it's okay. I was already
going out this Friday. So that should be fab. Next week, we will be a day later. I have to get back from the old country, and let's face it, there's not going to be that much news over Easter weekend. So it will be one day later next week. We'll be recording on Wednesday night, so it should drop on Thursday morning.
Correct.
Yep. Excellent. Just say that should round it up. So don't forget that between now and next week, you can give us any feedback, share your thoughts with the show at Motoring Podcast on Twitter and Instagram, on Facebook, and on the contact page at motoringpodcast.com, the hub of all our activities. Don't forget our Patreon, available at motoringpodcast.com/support. And please do leave ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or however your podcast app lets you do such a thing. As I say every week, it really, really does matter. Andrew, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Best way to get in touch with me is via Twitter. If you search for Crack Windscreen, you'll find me there. And Alan, if people want to get in touch with you and ask, how did you allow so many triggering articles to let Andrew go off on one, then another, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you personally?
Twitter as ever, where I'll point out that I actually removed a couple of them because there were more. On Twitter, I'm at AJ Bradley. We'll be back next week. But until then, I've been Alan Bradley.
I've been Andrew Clews.
And safe motoring. That was horrible.
What was?
On the end. Safe
motoring. You realised that you hadn't spelt Bradley.
Did I? Oh.
Yeah. So you sort of went, there's something else should be here. What is it? Anyway,
no, I was also trying to work out how I could wish a happy Easter or point out that we hadn't talked about the fact there was going to be Traffic Mageddon or any of those stories.
Well, I rewrote the intro several times because I was going to say something along the lines of, and this week we won't be talking about our IPO, fanciful unicorns. This instead will...
Yes, I did go off and look for Uber IPO stories, but I didn't really find any that were relevant to us.
There wasn't any good ones apart from
the best.
This is a bag of shit.
Do you know what the best one I heard was? The best coverage of that was actually Daily Tech News Show the other day.
All right, did they say it was a crock of poo?
Basically, yes.
Yes. We've not made a profit. We don't think we'll ever make a profit.
Did you see that got quite a lot of likes and retweets, by the way? That one from the FT that I retweeted.
Yeah. Did you see the FT's advert about?
Oh, by the way, we're still running on.
Yeah, no, I can see that. Did you see the FT's advert? Half-page advert because BA have stopped handing out free newspapers. The FT.
No, but BA
And it finished at the bottom with other premium, other better
Premium
carriers
airline.
are available.
Well, do you know what? People are sick of hearing me grumble about BA. BA is just a bit crap. I can say that now. They are just they're a budget. They're not even as good as the budget airlines, but without
Because they don't feel they have to try.
No, they are bloody lazy. Within Europe, they are bloody lazy, and that's really quite annoying and disgusting for people. And it's just wantonly shit, frankly.
Despite themselves, they continue to work.
Yeah, it's absolutely that. I mean, they're right. They've got this rule. This sounds like this is absolute first world problem. But they've got this rule that they won't let people book groups of business class seats within Europe.
What?
And this is causing. And I was speaking to one automotive PR, and they were saying, "Look, we've said, look, we'll pay you 3 times as much as the normal rate. We don't care if you can move the curtain back for this one flight out and this one flight back. Please, can you move the curtain back? We will pay you 3 times as much if you extend first class, no, or business class, no."
It's just stupid.
So you end up with everyone in the group at the back of the plane, because on BA you can't choose your seat or anything. You can't check in advance with BA if it's a group booking. This is really first world mojo problems, but it's just awkward.
But that just shows you when a company's got too big that the bureaucracy have taken over. Because if that was a small starter company, you'd say, "Look, this is a situation. We're having this thing. We want to do this." And they go, "I totally understand that. Great, no problem. We can sort that this time.
We buy hundreds and hundreds of flights from you every year. We want them all to be business class, and you just won't do it." But do you know what it is? The win that they've got, as I say, this is total mojo problems, and a real behind the. If you don't know how this stuff works, then the win they've got is that the Sofitel butts straight onto their terminal. That's what it is. That's why people still fly BA, because there's a nice hotel stuck to the terminal, and none of the other terminals have that. If there was an equivalent in Terminal 2, you'd see far more people flying Lufthansa and stuff. Yeah. The other thing is that because BA and Iberia are the same company, it's all BA now, and all the companies hold the launches in Spain because it's cheap. It's seems to be one of the major sources of income for Spain is motoring launches.
And it's warmer.
Oh, it's warmer. It's going to be warm. It's generally going to be warm. It's generally going to be sunny. Although, listen back to the RAV4 one if you want to hear about how unwarm it was. And I was there on the sunny, warm day. The people there the day before just spent the whole day in fog. And so they basically have a monopoly on tramping motion journeys back and forth. So why you're starting to see, if you follow, depending on who you follow on Twitter, you may well see that there's far more people flying from Farnborough and little jets, because, to be honest, they were getting so peeved with BA they'd much rather just charter a plane. Anyway, enough of that. I should speak to you anon. I'm going to my bed soon because I've been up since very early this morning.
Okay.
But we should be back next week.
Yep. Drop the thingy in the Dropbox for me.
Will do. I shall do it right now.
Tar.
Okay.
Right. That was a good one. Enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Thank you. See you Wednesday.